Thank you for joining in to this YouTube video. I had put out a message on my Instagram stories just to say, is there any commercial real estate agents out there while they're in quarantine that are willing to conversate with myself as I sit here at my new home office with the mic, with the computer, with the folding plastic table, and just chat about the industry, about the current state, and about social media, something I'm passionate about. Unfortunately, Kevin had reached out from San Francisco, commercial real estate agent there, been in the business for many years. And come to find out, he's been seeing some of the stuff I'm putting out there online. And we had a great conversation. I didn't tell him going in, I wanted to record it. So this is a warning to all of you if you're watching this. And I would love to jump on a call with you and conversate, especially in this time where we're sitting at home. I want to record that conversation as well. But thank you, Kevin, for letting me hit record. And thank you so much for just joining in on this conversation, making it public. It really gets me to recognize that there are people like yourself, like myself, that just really are trying to do things differently in this great industry we love, commercial real estate. And it comes through in this conversation for sure. So join in, sit back, relax, maybe grab some tea, beer, whatever you're drinking, and let's get this YouTube video started. Cheers.
I wish you should prepare me for that, man.
Dude, I just go by the seat of my pants. That's all how I do it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And I think right now is like a time for us to do that.
It's funny too, because I talk to commercial real estate agents that are just nervous about going on camera, and it doesn't matter. It can be anybody, but I'm such a big believer in video. I'm just always trying to push people like, hey, we have a camera. We need to hit record.
And honestly, I mean, I think that's what I appreciate, and that's how I think I started following you to start. It's all the content you put out. I mean, it's I don't feel like commercial agents, we really don't do that often, especially with video. I think on the residential side, I mean, I think they do that a lot. And I think everyone's so visual now that it helps. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to get out of that comfort zone and push the envelope, like kind of like how you have. So I appreciate that.
What's worked for me, where I first found it, was Snapchat, and I started creating.
Oh, really? On Snap? Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, it was right when Gary Vee had said you got to get on Snapchat, which was like 4 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
And so I got on, and of course I had no friends because none of my high school friends knew what Snapchat was. We already had graduated, right? So it's like, okay, I have no friends, but I'll start creating. And then somehow I found some residential agents, probably by Googling Snapchat and real estate, and I started following them. And by seeing what they were doing, it got me comfortable in creating a story every single day.
Okay. Right.
And then eventually Instagram comes along with their story function. And I'm like, oh, I'm already in the swing of things. Like, I got this. I can just keep doing what I'm doing over on Snapchat. Now I actually have some followers locally because I, do my market update and all that stuff.
Right. I mean, how long would you say it took for you to kind of engage and put out content before you started seeing like actual like growth and numbers and I guess analytics or whatever?
So I'm not a big numbers person. So like, again, with the flying by the seat of my pants, I don't get into the nitty gritty of like, is this working? Isn't this working? Number one,
Okay.
I'm passionate about it. And number two, it helps my creative side of my brain, because that's like my outlet for, it's like my hobby. I don't know how to put it any other way. Like, I enjoy creating stories online.
Right. Is that your background though? Like besides obviously commercial real estate, did you have a background in like video or editing or anything like that?
In high school, I was making hunting DVDs with my friends. And so we'd go out deer hunting and turkey hunting.
Nice.
and
Nice.
and literally after about 2 years of doing that, figuring out I couldn't make a living at it, then I was like, okay, I'm going to get into business. That led to commercial real estate. And until Snapchat came around, that storytelling component did not pop back up into my life, and then Snapchat came around. I'm like, oh, it's just like me videotaping my buddies going hunting. Like, I get this.
Right. So like literally the transition was pretty easy for you then, huh?
Yeah. Yep. It's like you got your beginning of your hunt, you got during your hunt, and then you got the end of the hunt. And the end of the hunt is hopefully you got something, but if you didn't, you still got to share it. So it's like, well, commercial real estate kind of has that same cycle every single day.
Absolutely. It's a much longer cycle, I think. But,
Oh yeah.
Anyway, like, what have you guys been seeing in the market? I mean, obviously, what do you normally like? What's the majority of the deals that you're doing? I mean, are you doing a lot of leasing? Do you do a lot of sales, or is it like a combination of all?
It's a combination of all because we're in a small market. So, like yesterday, I got a phone call from a bus company looking for 50 parking spots outside and 5,000 square feet of warehouse space. Today, I got a phone call from a auto parts store looking for about 5,000 square feet. Um, Later today, I know I have a phone call set up with someone looking for apartments. So it's fun for the fact that I'm not focused in one area. I get to do all types of transactions.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat, and I think that the biggest reason that I chose the brokerage that I'm at is because I wasn't going to be limited to one. Like the Colliers, Cushwake, those bigger. You're set at, and I think there's good things about that too. Like you're set at office leasing or retail leasing or investment sales. But I wanted to dive in and kind of get a grasp on everything. So that's kind of the same.
What's your background? How'd you get into it?
I've been in commercial real estate for like 12 years now, but I initially came in at a commercial real estate investment group. So we probably had a portfolio of, I don't know, maybe 70 properties. So I was more on like the asset management side. We had a lot of like storage facilities. That was big. Those actually do really well.
Mm-hmm.
Some mobile home parks, some multifamily, some hotels, kind of a diverse portfolio, but majority was self storage. And from there, I was just like, for me to really, if I really want to grow, then I'm going to have to go into brokerage. Um, so that's what I did. Looked around, and I've always been in the Bay Area, so yeah, just dug into the SF market and been there for like 6 years.
With the company prior, did you have real estate in your blood like prior, or was it just like a job you applied for, or how did it all come to be?
Um, in college, I was in like banking on that side of it, so like mortgage stuff. And then the last recession that I experienced was like '06 or the '08, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So that made me kind of transition into something into more into commercial. I knew I wanted to do something related to real estate. Got into commercial, and then it's just been going forward from there.
And then with the commercial brokerage now, you said, it was your opportunity to like expand and grow, like because there's no ceiling, was it? You're not capped at,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, it was the motivation of, it's definitely just wanting to bet on myself, and I knew that my potential wasn't being reached. So, it seemed like a good opportunity for me.
And then what type of transactions are you doing now as far as like
Well,
are you
so
finding a niche?
so the brokerage that I'm at has been in San Francisco since like the 20s. Like it's one of the first retail leasing brokerages. So technically, it's I'd say we're a leasing brokerage, but I'd say it's probably like still maybe 75% of our transactions. I probably do the most office leasing, and I do a lot of restaurant and bar sales too. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a different niche, and I'm probably doing a couple investment sales a year. So my focus is probably this year at least. It was the goal before all this pandemic was to be more involved in investment sales. I saw more opportunity there. The Bay Area market it's the prices are pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it'll be interesting to see the rent adjustments because that's obviously going to affect the prices of these investment sales. So yeah, we were in record high rents, man. I don't know what it's like in Minnesota, but office leasing like goes up to $100 a square foot. Yeah, retail leasing, depending, anywhere from 30s to 40 or 30s to 60s, but Union Square, like shopping areas, you're getting it over $100 a square foot easy.
Unbelievable. Yeah, we like our high is like $35 a square foot for retail, and we're like, oh, $35. How do they even
Right,
make it work?
right. It's all relative, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, like an apartment, for example, in San Francisco, like a one bedroom is probably like 3,500 or more. So it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
more money being made, but at the same time, it just being passed on somewhere else. So.
What when it comes to social, are you doing anything on social now, or do you have some ambition to do social?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing I've been learning, and I think commercial in general is a little bit more old school about things. Like the people I work with are definitely not on social at all.
Yeah.
I'm involved, but it's again getting out of that comfort zone and really pushing it. And I think, I've definitely have a few mentors. They're actually on the residential side, but I think the way they market things they're amazing. I'm
Yeah.
like, we can't really do it the same in a sense of we can't make a video of an interior of a space that's like demoed or looks like shit or whatever. It is in really bad condition. So like, whereas them, they're showcasing a house, staged and everything like that. So it's a little different, but I'm just trying to find ways to, provide content. And with this downturn, it's interesting because I mean, we have like our value has skyrocketed now because
Mm-hmm.
everybody is actually like people that I cold call, people that I reach out to. Normally, they don't even respond. Like 80% of people don't. But I feel like now it's a lot better on response because people don't know. They want answers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what I've been doing in the last couple of weeks is trying to add value and obviously the stimulus package came out, so there's different things. What do you think about that anyway? Do you think that's going to help?
It can't hurt. There's no doubt about it. I just
Yeah.
wonder how far it will go, because you look at our community as the example, like every business is affected and there's going to be so many people asking for money, and we're just, again, a dot in this whole world. And it's like, wow, that's everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's coming from, the tenants want money, the landlords want money, the banks want money.
Mm-hmm.
How's it going to be passed around? I don't really know. I don't know if there's an answer, but I think in California, at least, the governor is saying that it will be like, like a loan. But I think, you understand how tenants are. Like they're going month to month, just like everybody. Like
I
they
know.
can't,
Right.
they can't pay back they can't pay back 3 months of rent even when they open again. You know,
Right.
so I don't know what's going to happen there, and sadly, I think some businesses will close. I think the commercial real estate will change for sure, just the way it is. So
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that this will weed out, and I'm not saying that in a way like they need to be, but this will weed out those that did not save, and that's like
right,
reality. And it's not what you want to see, but it's just the healthiness of a business. And you don't know the healthiness of a business until something like this occurs, and whether or not they want to ride the storm. One thing that was unique for me, I had a call last night with a restaurant owner, and I felt like after I got off the phone call, I felt like he was like reflecting back on the many years of the restaurant business. And he was like, I wonder if I should keep doing this. Like it was finally because it came to a break and he had to
yeah,
stop. He was kind of like, what should I do next? you know?
yeah, yeah. Like really though. I mean, I think the cycle of a lot of restaurant operators, at least in our market, I think is like after the fifth year is when they start feeling like they want to sell, they want to do something else. If you last like 7 years, 10 years, I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, for sure. And this he's lives and breathes it. He manages it like none other. He's there. He knows it. And so he never has that forced break. And because it's occurred, he's just reflecting. I could tell.
Right. And yeah, I think there's going to be a lot more of that. And I was just on a call yesterday with a client that's a landlord, and the tenant is really sorry. That's my dog barking if you hear it.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah.
It's all good.
Um, but yeah, I think the tenant is trying to find like being really aggressive, like this, trying to get out of the lease. Like they're
Right.
finding an excuse. They've only been in a lease for like a year or two. It goes another 8 years or whatever, and they're trying to find excuses to get out. Like, oh, like this is the pandemic. Like we, get us out pretty much. Like, I'm gonna call my lawyer, that kind of stuff too. Even when they throw the lawyer thing at you, it's trying to be kind of aggressive, but.
I didn't recognize this like language in the lease, but we had I could say the name, I won't, but large companies send letters that said, based on this term in the lease, we're not going to be paying rent. And it's basically an act of God, right? Based on this act of God, we're not paying rent. It's like, well, you never expected that term to get used against you, as a
Exactly.
landlord.
That's one. Most of the time, on lease comments, people are like, "Oh, it's all good. Don't worry about
Yeah. Yep.
that." And
Yep.
now we're here. So yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping this blows over fast. I think that's the main thing. The sooner we're back to normal, the sooner we can get back into business. Because I mean, it's been really only a couple weeks or like 2 weeks really of closure, and people are already hurting. Imagine in a month or two
Oh
months,
man.
it's gonna be, it's only gonna get worse. So
Yeah.
hoping we recover. I did want to ask you, just curious, because I always want to know, what would you say, like, what, I guess the main thing, like, what CRM do you use? Or do you?
Say it again.
What CRM do you use? Or what do you
Oh,
use?
so I'm not very good at it. Again, flying by the seat of my pants. I've been doing this for 10 years, but I'm just not the most organized when it comes to certain things. I am trying to adapt to a CRM called Daylight, and the reason I am using it is because it shows up on the side pane of Apple Mail, and I'm a die-hard Apple Mail user, and I've
Yeah, me too.
never, yeah, and I live in my email, which sucks because I keep going back to my emails, and I had never found a CRM. Like, I would split screens, and I have my CRM on the right and I have my email on the left. And like, I know you can integrate it into the CRM, but it's not as organizable in the CRM. And this one shows up directly on the right in Apple Mail. And because of that, like, I'm in an email, I'm like, okay, add it to the CRM, add a tag, add it to a project. And so that's why I like this CRM, and I
Interesting.
feel like I'm adapting to it, but I'm only 5, 6 months in.
Oh, okay, so a little while though. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what which one is going to work best for me. I don't really, from what I've seen so far, I don't really like. So I'm just always curious, like what other brokers are using or whatnot, and if it really is going to help. Like, I guess it's more for organizing and prospecting somewhat. But I guess that's another thing. Like, what in your guys' market, like, how do you guys prospect mainly? I mean,
I
I know
am
it's a combination.
well, dude, I'm such a believer in social. Like, I can't tell you how much social has paid off for me and my brand. And I attract business and I don't have to go find business. And don't get me wrong. Like, if I got to go hunt something down, I will hunt something down.
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, right.
But I definitely don't feel like I am doing a high percentage of cold calling in comparison to my coworkers or in comparison to other people in other industries, because I'm trying to become the person people think of as the commercial real estate guy in the market. And by just being out there, being myself, being authentic on social, it leads to people thinking of me when it comes to business, and they hear a friend looking to move. And so I just take Gary Vee's advice of, like, be the media company first, comma, whatever else you are. So I'm the commercial real estate, like, business go-to. If you think of the news column in your city, there's someone that writes the business articles. In our city, it's a guy named Jeff Kiger. He's been writing those articles for years, and
Okay.
people know him because he's the business guy. It's like, okay, how do I do that? I want to become the guy that people look to
Right.
as who's sharing the news. And then because they look to me as sharing the news, they come back consistently. When someone talks about business and wanting to move, then my name rises up to the top as, have you talked to Bucky yet? And I'm not joking, dude. Like, it works hand over fist. It's
No, I know. I appreciate it, like everything you're saying about that, like the Gary Vee concepts. A lot of his concepts are really good,
mhm.
or whatnot. But I think the key of what you said is like you're just being authentic or you're being yourself. And I think a lot of the things that we all do is like, we're all trained a certain way, or we all see what other people are doing, and it doesn't really feel right. Like someone in my office is really good at just like cold calling all day. That's his thing. I don't know if that necessarily works the same for me or other people, but I think that's a big focus for me, is just like being myself, and I think it always works out better that way in life in general too.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I, like, coming into commercial real estate, my dad owns a little small drive-through restaurant, no sit down. My mom's a school teacher. Like, I just had
Okay.
to I had to figure it out of, like, how this thing works. And one thing that I found very quickly is the market was made up of old men that did big deals that didn't really care about the small businesses. And that was early on, 10,
Right.
10 years ago. They had no idea what LoopNet was. And so what I did is I went to small spaces, I brought them to the market online. I then put my face out there on video tours and things like that. And there were times when I was the only person on LoopNet, and I would go on a tour and people would say, "Hey, you're that video guy from LoopNet." It's like,
Oh,
yeah,
you put your videos on LoopNet too.
heck
Okay.
yeah. It's so, I mean, it works. It's
Oh,
so,
I'm gonna steal that from you, Bucky.
oh, it works. It so works. Now LoopNet is busier than it ever has been relative to
Yeah, yeah,
brokers,
sure.
but still it doesn't hurt. And then I would go as far to say, okay, other listing services you're using, Can you put a YouTube link? Can you put and here's another thing I'll say, like, you need to view these social media platforms as listing services. Facebook is LoopNet. It actually has more users than LoopNet.
It's
Now,
probably better,
yeah, it's
right?
better, right? It's
Like,
better. The only difference is people, when they're on Facebook, aren't necessarily thinking about commercial real estate. So then
right.
you need to make your brand known as a business go-to, so that when they run into you, they're like, oh, this is that business guy that I know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Those are all big things. The video thing, it's interesting. Actually, I want to say I think another I reached out is because I've been listening to your podcast, or at least I listened to a couple of them so far, and good job on that, man. I think pods in general are like the new wave. I don't know. It's not even new. It's probably like I probably started listening to pods maybe like 5 years ago or 3 years. I don't know when it was, but like everyone from Gary Vee
Mm-hmm.
to Ed Milet to Grant Cardone's kind of out there, but it's there's a lot of good material out there. But commercial, there really isn't. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think it's way more limited. So when I found you, I was like, wow, dude, this is great. So
That's cool.
yeah,
Yeah, thank you for that. And it's so easy compared to what it used to be to create a podcast. There's an app called Anchor. If you've seen that one, Gary Vee talks about it.
yeah,
You can download it on your phone, and you can record to your phone. And then from there you can push it out to, I think it goes to iTunes, maybe Google, a couple other places. So all of a sudden you start your own rants. I mean, that's all it needs to be. You don't even need a guest. And you start putting in the description commercial real estate stuff. You start ranking in the Google search. And like, once I figured out how to easily put content together, just like asking you, can we record this? It's like, it's never become easier to record content. Now it's a matter of how the heck you get it out there so you can find like-minded people.
yeah. I'm starting to like do that. Like I started to do that kind of the same with your hunting. I started to just get content socially, and I'm like, you can get content out of anything. Like let's document this, like whatever it is, whatever we're doing at the time. If you're on a hike, whatever, let's document it.
Yep.
And I think you could do that with commercial. It's like just clicking. Like there's so many different ways to do that. And then of course, it just finding new reasons to provide that content on all these different platforms that there are now. So.
The one thing that I'm curious, what's like your go-to platforms? What ones do you like to use the most, social wise?
I was I was gonna ask you the same thing. Just about. Oh, I was actually gonna ask. Well, anyway, I'll answer your question. Are you talking about like social media or?
Yeah.
I mean, I think right now I feel like it's kind of I think Instagram is up there for me like right now. I think a lot of my followers are like in the bid like small business owners or affiliated with that. So I feel like I've gotten good response from that. Like LinkedIn, I get LinkedIn, but I feel like it's all guys like us. It's all brokers. It's all mortgage guys, and that's good too. But like Facebook, I think is another one that I'm trying to use more. So as far as the social media platforms, I think those are the best, or at least for my own content
Yeah.
or exposure. But I feel like for me learning, it's been Twitter. Like I probably
Oh,
found you on
wow.
Twitter, or I probably found because to me Twitter is the new media. Like nobody
Mm-hmm.
gets a newspaper anymore. It's like, hey, if you want, who won the game last night, you look on Twitter and like the sports columnist, like you said, you're a guy. There's a sports columnist in this area. I'm like, I just go to Marcus Thompson and I know he has everything for me,
That's
right?
cool.
Or for whatever other market, like I could find out information just on Twitter, like whatever this guy's tweeting, that's probably what's going on.
Mm.
So that's how I've used Twitter at least. What have you used what like for your guys listings? What do you think is effective for you? Because that's obviously a big thing about how to market things.
So I'll share like the process because I think that's important. And the
Yeah.
process is we have a photographer that also shoots video. So every single time we get a new listing, you got to do both. You got to do a video and you got to do pictures. And it's a young guy. He's 19 years old and he'll work relatively
Those are the best.
he'll work relatively
Yeah.
inexpensively relative to the market. But
Yeah.
also, like, I guarantee we're his first or second customer and we grow with him. And he has a creative mindset with these pictures and videos that no one else has. Yeah.
Exactly. I love it. Rather than hiring the guy that's been doing the same thing for CBRE and everyone else, I love the young guys because they're so much more savvy than all of us. Like they know they're creative,
Yep.
and they're cheaper. That's
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, let's be real.
And you grow with them. Like that's what I'm trying to do. But then what we do is we get the listing, they make the content, we share a Google Drive that only has our content. Like we don't put our contracts, nothing, because it was always a pain in the rear when you got content creators that like send it to you via email, or it's like, hey, upload it here. It's like, no, we paid the $100 a year, whatever the number is, for a Google Drive that's separate for our content, because then I don't feel like I can't share folders and I can't collaborate. Like if it's my own personal one with all my contracts and stuff, it's like, do I share this folder? Don't I share it? So that was a great move. And then from there, it gets into the file, and I give access to our office admin, who then takes it and she puts it out on the platforms. In that same file, I'm writing up and putting the description for the property in a Google Doc. And then that same description, I can critique it or use it for social media platforms. So it really becomes a one-stop shop. And it's like, okay, I need to create some content. I go to my files of listings. Let's say I got 20 of them. In each folder, I got great photos, cool videos, and I got a description that I can add separate ones for Instagram, separate ones for Facebook, add emojis, whatever the case is, schedule it out, and I don't have to think about it. And my office admin helps take care of all the listing platforms, which is a pain in the rear.
Yeah, yeah, I know. They have a tough job with that. It's I feel bad sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, so,
throw a lot
so,
at them.
so that's it. But then now when I go to these social media platforms, like I don't try to do what everybody else is doing, meaning, and you've seen my Instagram, like I'm taking a photo with my goofy ass glasses pointing at a listing. You swipe through the listing and it has, emojis moving and stuff. It's like, cause 95% of these people are never going to lease a building, but that I'm just looking for that 5%, their friend. And,
Yeah, yeah, right, right, right. Like just a couple of the posts that I put up lately. Like I don't care if there's 500 people look at. I just want one or two people to respond to it, to engage, and I'm like, I won. Like I literally, like, that's great. That's like literally the purpose of it. And I think what I've noticed at least is when I do like the really cliche posts, like of, oh, this is my listing, like from your flyer or what, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
just, oh, this building, 5,000 square foot, great prime location. That shit, people are like, swipe, like they don't even like, they probably get
no,
annoyed.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
But if you have glasses, like you're doing something like, I really appreciate how you do things that are like just different out the
Yep.
box. Cause then I'm like, oh wow, what's he doing? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Like it's gonna
Right.
make me think.
Yep.
Like, and that's why we're talking. So what you're doing obviously works. So it's interesting.
Well, and
Like,
one thing I would like to figure out, so this is what I'm building a brand locally where people are following both business owners and community members, and they're just interested in what's new, and that's why they keep following me. Okay, so I have the following. Now I go into a commercial space and I present the question of what should be here. And I get input, and I haven't quite executed this, but then I get input from the business owners and community members of ideas to go there. They just made my life so much easier to go and prospect. And that's what I'm trying to like figure out with this heavy use of social media, of like, they can help me way more than I can figure out stuff myself.
right. Like, so are you basically saying you're like engaging with your audience and just getting suggestions, not like literally going door to door necessarily, but just using your platforms to get that feedback? And
Yeah, using the attention you get following you to help get feedback that leads to you going and making actions that lead to business.
yeah, I mean that's like half of our job, just getting the ideas, and sometimes we have that mental block, and other people you're like, why didn't I think of that, the first day? So
Well, yeah, I'll show you. I'll give you one example that happened this week. So,
please.
I took a screenshot of an email. This bus company looking for space, and I wanted to put it. We have a private Facebook group for our team, so I wanted to put it in our private Facebook group. I accidentally put it in the Small Business Aid of Rochester, Minnesota group that started because of the coronavirus. So there's 500 people a part of this group. I get a phone call in 10 minutes. I didn't know I did it. I get a phone call in 10 minutes. Guy goes, "Hey, I have a building for your bus company." And I'm like, like, And I'm like, how did you know I was working with the bus company? He's like, oh, John, who's an attorney, John saw it in the Facebook group. And I'm like, at that moment I panic. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? But
Yeah,
here I got it deleted and whatever. No one else said anything, but I'm just like, damn, what if you engage with the community? What is actually possible? Like you can advance things so fast. He had a great idea. His building that he had in mind is freaking a good building. It would have not crossed my mind at all.
not at all. No, that's a great example. It's a really good reminder of all this. Um,
So one person, I can't remember who I saw, but one person, I want to do this. They have put out on their Instagram, like businesses I'm working with, and you could almost make it this matchmaking game. That would be the fun thing. Like,
right.
all right, guys, it's commercial real estate matchmaking Monday. Like, I'm going to put in my profile the 3 businesses I'm working with. I'm going to describe a little bit. I need your help. Like, make it a freaking game. And I think
Absolutely. No, I mean, that's why we all have like weekly meetings, right? And, I don't know, we have like, there's like 10 or 11 agents in my office. And the meeting is really the purpose is to collaborate, right? Like what do you have, like fit the puzzle pieces together that makes sense. And a lot of the time that's like literally what it takes,
yeah.
like just out there talking to people. So you make it a creative game. You let me know how that goes. I want to know.
I will. Yeah, definitely. You'll see it on my profile when I start testing.
I know. No, I'm like I said, I'm gonna start mimicking you, man. I'm gonna start. I'm learning, so I appreciate it.
The market update has been very big because it makes me do something consistently every week. It fills my pipeline. My pipeline is my camera roll, where I can schedule posts to other platforms for the weeks ahead. So I create a bunch of micro content in one day that I then schedule out for weeks ahead. And 2,
Right.
it becomes that staple piece of content that people look for. Like they are literally coming back and like, I enjoy the Thursday market update because it's the news of what the heck's going on. And so people that, and I think in commercial real estate, we often think like, doesn't everybody see what we see? And
No.
no, they don't get it. Like, like a business moving here or there, or like an opportunity here or there. Like, and so people are intrigued by that. So as soon as you start kind of opening up that door to say, have a look into what I'm doing and you can see it, I had a person comment a couple weeks ago and they're like, how do you get all of these like market updates every single Thursday? And it's just like, it's kind of like my natural ability to just see what's happening in the community. It's like, of course, I look at the news and I see certain things. Once in a while, I'll get a tip, but no, it's just naturally like I live and breathe commercial real estate and who's moving where. And I know of 2 signs right now that are new that I need to go add to my market update because I saw them, and you have the
Yeah,
same thing.
you're active. You're active and you're aware. And I think like in San Francisco and the financial district, a lot of it is just there's you're just walking around a lot. There's buildings, there's everything's going on. So just noticing that. Like if I walk around for an hour, I definitely will see things that weren't there last week.
Right.
So I can always learn more. Like that's definitely part of my I guess process of just like throughout the week of what I want to do. Just to
Well,
be active.
and then if you like unveil that to the people on social and you like explain some of the things you're seeing, people are intrigued by that because they're like, wow, I'd never noticed that.
Yeah. Like at first, when I first started, I thought it was more of like okay, like you're only adding value if it's like your deal. Like I finished this deal or I completed this transaction. But now it's more like, oh, you know what? This building is on sale for 600 million now. People are more interested in that than the listing I have, in whatever neighborhood. Like they want to know kind of what's going on with like these other things that are like cool. Like it could be an iconic building, it could be, just whatever it may be, a business closing, like
Yep.
whatever, man, like a long time business, like whatever it is, like that's what people like,
It's the news. It's
It's
exactly
the
what it
news,
is.
man.
That's all it
I
is.
know, I
It's been
know.
working for years. They've been delivering papers since when, and it's like you're just bringing it to Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. And look at the media, like the media platforms. I mean, they thrive on just like propaganda
Oh
and
yeah.
bullshit. So, and that works. That gets clicks and views and likes. So it's the time. But anyway, do you have any other questions for me right now?
Let's see. It was interesting hearing how you use the different platforms. I was going to say So Instagram for me is really connecting me with the small business community and the community as a whole, but really the small business community, because you tag someone. Oh, looks like my internet's bugging out, but um,
You're kind of frozen. I can hear you still though.
okay. So um, when you tag a business, they get the notification right there, and then they reshare it, and like they so appreciate that. So it's been a great way to connect with small business owners and creators.
You still there?
Yep, still here.
Oh, okay. Um, no, that really is, because to them it's like you're marketing for them.
Yep.
You know, like at one point I was like I said, I'm like my comfort zone's like, you know, I don't want to feel like I'm like imposing something that they wouldn't want to, but they're like, they want you to post like that you're at the restaurant even, or whatever it may be, or their business. They want you to throw that content out there because it's free marketing for them. So
Yep.
um, I
So
like
that's
that.
been awesome. Twitter, I agree with you. Twitter is like where you meet the other CRE people that are forward thinking. You know, for you to reach out on Instagram, I was like, yeah, my man. Like, there ain't no commercial real estate agents out here on Instagram. You know, like it don't happen very often. So that was
Yeah.
awesome. That was awesome. I want to see more of that. But realistically, they're on Twitter, and that's where I find my crew of commercial real estate folks.
Right. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's another reason why I'm trying to use like Instagram. To me, just like I understand Instagram more than like how like Twitter. Like I don't have any followers. Nobody gives a shit about me. Like I don't have any engagement. Like it just I don't know. Just that to me, like I like reading it like a newspaper, but I don't necessarily think it's like my thing to actually post content. So
Yeah. Facebook, how would I explain Facebook? I don't feel like I'm great at Facebook, but where I found success is going live on Facebook, like with a podcast or just in general. And besides that, everything for me on Facebook is scheduled. Like I just schedule stuff out and then I don't think about it. So today I scheduled like 10 posts for the next, 10 days. Um, I don't have a ton of engagement there. I do follow, that's where I follow my local news. Like I go there to get my local news. Um, and then let's see, what was the other one? Snapchat, nothing. I mean, I have a following that's small, probably 50 people that I take my Instagram story and I put it out there on Snapchat. So
no, so
I repurpose it. Yep. And then
right. Two different platforms, right? Same
what I
thing.
do like about Snapchat is you can edit unlike you can in Instagram. Like I love the Bitmoji. I call it Bitmoji-Bucky. I love the Bitmoji that I have, and so
Yeah.
I'll use that once in a while where I can.
Right. Right.
Um,
Nice.
and then is there any others? LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, what I found is, like you said, it is the bankers, the mortgage lenders, things of that nature. But I wasn't reaching them on Instagram. I wasn't reaching them on Facebook. As soon as I started posting on LinkedIn, when I went to a networking event, like a chamber event, the old dudes and gals were like, "I like what you're doing on LinkedIn," and I'm like, "That's where you watch me. Like you wouldn't watch me anywhere else if I put it."
No, that's who's on there though. That's like really like a lot of the landlords and a lot of developers, like those people. And I will give you an example of this week of how LinkedIn was really worked really well for me. I have LinkedIn Premium now,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, I kind of got hooked up from a friend that works there. That's what's nice about being in the city. You know a lot of
Yeah.
tech people. You got a lot of connections there. But anyway, I identified a business that it's actually a nightclub that has been there for 35 years. Really good location, like 10,000 square feet. But anyway, they're finally out. So it's big news that they went out. And I'm like, okay, how can I find the owner, the landlord? We obviously look at RealQuest or CoStar, gives you an address, got a name. Like we're savvy enough to Google search, and I was like narrowing it down. I got a name, went to LinkedIn, found the guy on LinkedIn, messaged him.
Yes.
Luckily, because I had premium, and he responded. And it was
Nice.
actually he's like, actually, it's not me, it's my dad. Call my dad. Call his dad. Touring it next week.
Sweet.
So
Yep.
yeah, like it will a deal come from it. I don't know, but having LinkedIn and that, I mean, it just goes to show like it at least gives me a better chance than nothing. So
They all have their place. And like Gary Vee
yeah.
talks about this. Gary Vee says, document over create. Yes, I agree with that. When he talks to musicians, he says you should be creating music all the time and just dropping it. He goes, because there's so much content in the system. Like it's it takes a lot of content going out for something to hit. You can't like just drop one and then think, or drop 10 and think this is it. Like he's like, I would be dropping music every single day. And that's how I think of it with content, is like, I need to consistently drop music. Now, then the distribution, the more channels you have, the more opportunities that people are going to find you and reach out to you, you know? So it's like, my secret is, for me, if I can't do it on my phone, I won't necessarily do it very much as far as distribution. So that's where the most output I put in is Instagram, because it's all on your phone. Like you can't do it really from your desktop besides IGTV. And so it's so easy for me. Facebook, it's, you can do it from your phone, but it doesn't feel as fluid as like Instagram, for example.
Absolutely. That's why I'm on Instagram. Like story, boom, done. Like 30 seconds. Like, and it could be really good content.
Yeah.
Better than even, video you edit or whatever. So it's yeah, all those things. Um, anyway, man, I got to run, and I'm sure you do too. But I appreciate it. We should do this call like next week again, or like let's schedule something again.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you for your time. I'll shoot you another link and you just let me know what works.
I will, man. All right, you have a good one. Stay
You
safe.
too. Thanks. See ya.
Bye.